too tougher. All right, it's another one of those navel-gazing days, talking a little about game criticism. The one thing I want to concede, sometimes being a game critic isn't that easy. It's not the same thing as sort of being a film critic where you get to passively sit there and watch the movie and then decide if you like the movie or not. That because it involves your participation, I don't think I'm the only person that ever so often just feels a little bit uncertain if why they dislike the game isn't because there's something wrong with the game or that they suck at playing the game. And it really makes it a very difficult process at times to try to figure out what part is you in the involvement and what part is, the game itself. Because are you really the typical player out there who you're supposed to be speaking for? It really is awkward. I'm not asking for sympathy. Please, don't give me your sympathy. You never do. Anyway, moving on. I'm using that as a preamble to talk about an interesting column that was in The Guardian UK's game blog, written by Keith Stewart, where he was taken aback at what he thought was a lack of respect for innovation on the part of many game critics. And the game that he cited was, ta-da, Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge is obviously doing something very, very different, and he was caught up with most people just trying to dismiss the game because of its trial and error issues, the fact that it didn't seem to have the right controls, and that the combat wasn't good. I'm not going to want to get in the mix of that, because I probably fall somewhere in the middle, but it brought up some interesting points that I do want to address. And with all due respect to Mr. Stewart, who I do not want to get into some sort of battle with, he once again sort of looks at how that game would have been regarded as something that all these kind of avant-garde film critics would have really respected. I don't know. It's a very accessible game with the mere fact that you don't really have guns and you're running. We know the first-person format. It's still kind of a very kind of poorly put-together science fiction story. Really, its one innovation is you're running and trying to do parkour, which is cool. Wouldn't say it's necessarily avant-garde. More importantly, there's that comparison to what film critics would have said. And here's the one thing. Games are not films. You cannot review a game. You cannot do academic criticism of a game as if it was a movie. Here's one simple thing. Movies don't become harder to watch the more you view them. They don't try to turn the screen somewhere else or try to put something in front of your eyes. In essence, that is what's happening in the game. There are new challenges, there are new aspects of the game. As some other people have pointed out with regard to that piece, also, games are much longer, and there has to be better, reasons for you to want to stay with the game, and that comes down to the gameplay. Because the fact is, games are interactive. That's why we play games. Yes, we love the pretty visuals. Yes, we love the sound of guns. Yes, we love all those kind of violent moments. But the fact is, it's interactive, and there has to be that gut feeling that makes you know that you're enjoying this game and you're going to keep on playing it. You don't really get that same gut feeling watching a movie, a little bit like listening to music. Definitely not when you look at it, at a painting on a wall. Those are all fine and good, but they have different levels of access, and the access for a game is your ability to hold a controller and engage with it. But there's many different levels at which a person will be able to engage with it. More or less what I'm saying is game criticism is hard. But what it comes down to in his piece is he talked about Metacritic and how it's not getting those high Metacritic ratings. I think what you can infer from that is without a high Metacritic rating, you're going to see less sales. And this is what I see what he's getting at. Less people are going to expose themselves to the true innovations that are present there in Mirror's Edge. And so I have to say what I've always wanted to say. I hate numbered scores. Really. I don't care if it's 5 stars, which is my preference, 10 or 100-point scale. The fact is, it seems to be once again born of this cult of exceptionalism that is in this country, that things can only be the best or else they suck. And trust me, this has been so highly fostered by the culture out there on the internet, where either you're going to flame somebody for something or it's going to be the best thing in the world. There's no kind of reasoned discussion. Now, if you take those scores out of it, guess what, you guys? You'd have to read my review. And that's why I love reading movie reviews in Newsweek or the New York Times, where I have to get to know the reviewer and I have to get to sort of read between the lines. Because you can like something for some parts and not like it for another. But when I slap a 3 on a game, suddenly everyone's crawling up my ass because I said the game sucked. That's not necessarily what I said. I'm just trying to give you a numerical way to understand what I'm trying to say in the review. And you know what? Sometimes it's hard because, games are a cultural product. They're pretty much a piece of art. And it's really hard to pin something down to a simple qualified number. So anyway, I'm trying to say is I hate doing it, but I'm trapped doing it because this is what is expected of people in our position in this day and age. So guess what? If you guys start reading the reviews and you start making more educated decisions on the message boards and your purchases based upon the nuance of a variety of reviews, we might be able to get out of this trap and maybe you guys can experience more innovation.